Hello, and welcome to Coping with Donald. I'm Phil. Well, there's good news and there's bad news. The good news is we're up to 25 subscribers. Oh my God! So if you like this video, please subscribe and like the video and comment and all those things. Once again, I still don't know how to get my comments. I can only get like 2 at a time. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. But I did learn to pause the video to recollect my thoughts at times. But one thing I apparently didn't learn was how to post them, even though I'm posting them. But I made 2 videos the other day, and I put one up and completely mistitled it. These 2 videos were very different. One was about, I guess, about just life or politics or whatever. The other one was about creepy coworkers. And I took the one with life and I titled it Creepy Coworkers. The one that was actually about creepy coworkers, I had cleared my files so that I could have room. Microsoft wouldn't have a fit about how much storage I have. And I lost it. And I had really liked the way it turned out, so I'm going to try to redo it here. This is the real creepy coworker video. We all have creepy coworkers from time to time, and the thing is that unlike in life where you can just try to avoid those people, the creepy coworkers you have to see like every day. And you can't get away from it. So if you had a creepy coworker, please put it below. And we're not just talking about like mean coworkers, nasty coworkers, grumpy coworkers. We're talking about creepy coworkers. There's 2 that I had in particular in mind. One man, we'll call him Jacob. All right, let me even write it down so I remember to call him Jacob. I had, very unfortunately, one of the worst economic points of my life, many decades ago, actually. I had a security guard license. And I used to work as a security guard. It was the job that I have liked, I think, least in my life. Not just for the pay, but for the aggravation, annoyance, and a lot of times when you're a security guard, and you're doing it for, say, 200 homes behind a gate, you don't really feel like you're doing anything important or adding to society. And that's how I felt about this job. I really didn't do a good job at this job because I wasn't feeling it. It's probably the job that I have done the worst at in performance in my life. So basically, it got to the point where I would just let everybody in, okay? I was a terrible security guard. God help me. But I never heard of anything bad happening while I was working there. So, I'd write down fake license plates because I used to work an evening shift and there were so many mosquitoes out there and everything. I would just, I didn't want to get bit up every time I went to a car and stood there and tried to get a light. And plus, you had to let the mosquitoes in every time you opened the door into this little guard shack. And I am mosquito heaven, really, to tell you the truth, as far as being bitten and everything. So, I had this coworker who I'll call Jacob, and he was sort of in charge of that post. I don't even know if he was in charge of the post, but he thought he was in charge of this post, which was a 24-hour gig. He used to work Monday through Friday in the daytime, so he had the nicest shift, if you want to consider that the nicest shift. I would rather just nobody come up to the gate. But there was a lot of building going on in there. He had to let all these people in, and these people were, I guess, the ones you'd be the most worried about. I mean, anybody who had a truck Could have gotten it as far as I'm concerned. But that was because I was me. Man, I was a bad thing. I'm glad I only did that for a couple of years. I was a great postal worker. Really was. And I'm not just talking about. It would be like Trump on the economy. As far as a postal worker, I was A plus 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 plus. Okay, that's how I was as a postal worker. As an accountant, I was like a B minus, C plus. At least I did what I was supposed to do. Anyhow, back to Creepy Jacob. Okay, Creepy Jacob was older than me, maybe by 15, 20 years. I was very young at the time. And oh man, he was just so creepy. He was like one of those guys that when he laughed, he would go like this. You know, one of those kind of things. It was kind of like, I guess, the old actor, and you'd have to look him up if you're not my age. Peter Lorre as a security guard or something, you know. Rick, hide me. From Casablanca, in case you don't know. All right, here's this again. Rick, hide me. And that's how Peter Lorre talked. And this man laughed like that. And there were only a few times where people would call up and say, if so-and-so comes to see me, don't let that person in. Okay? And this guy lived for that. Okay? He loved it. And he would explain to me, well, you know, if so-and-so comes in, he's not allowed in. He's not allowed in, so you have to make sure he goes back. Ugh. He also, by the way, well, all right, I got to tell you this story. I think this is the better completion of it. One time there was a man there. This was more than one time, but apparently this man, who was very poor, had been married and had a daughter, and they divorced. And seriously, when he would come to pick, this is a nice place, by the way, this Association of Homes. Very nice for people that had more money than your typical people. So he would come to get his daughter for the weekend and then bring her back. All right? He had, oh man, very old car with rust and, you know, it would backfire and all that kind of stuff. He came usually straight from work, it looked like. He had tufts of hair that made him look older. And meanwhile, this woman had divorced him, or he divorced her. They divorced, and she wound up marrying somebody who could bring her into this beautiful community. And I remember once, like, or twice when I heard her voice, it was a little bit on the hoity-toity side. Anyway, she said he couldn't come in to get her daughter. They would drop her daughter off and wait at the guardhouse. The daughter would wait at the guardhouse, and then the man would pick her up. And the same thing when he came back. And oh gosh, I guess one time he thought he was going to be able to drop her off at the door, and he got to the gate with her, the daughter, on the way back, and the orders were in place to not let him in. And so I said, sir, I hate to say this, but we've been told not to let you in. You can drop your daughter off and we'll hold on to her here until people come to pick her up. The look on his face of shame, you know, closing his eyes and the daughter looking like anxiously over at him. She was in her teens, but knowing that he was feeling really bad. So we parked on the side and got out, and he gave her this hug. Oh my God, like in a squeeze, like I love you so much. And I was sitting there thinking to myself, I hate myself because I had to do that. So anyway, this also, that's besides the point. Creepy Jacob used to put notes up all over the place. Like, we would have a tray that was against the wall with papers in it, and it was flush against the wall. And once in a while, it would be a little off. Okay, he would leave notes. Make sure tray is pressed against the wall. He was so OCD, he made me look normal. Okay, and because I'm battled OCD all my life, and then I went from there to the post office where they won't hire you unless you're OCD. But anyway, and this guy, he'd leave notes on the toilet. Make sure you put the lid down. It was really, make sure that you don't leave soap in the sink. Make sure this and that. He had notes all over the place. Okay, he was just so creepy. One of the older security guards who started that, this man at the time must have been over 60. I think he was retired and just doing some part-time work. And one day walked up to me and said, "This guy," he said, "I never let my mother talk to me like that. I'm certainly not going to let this guy talk to me like that." And of course, he wasn't there a week later. He must have quit out of frustration. But anyway, congratulations, Creepy Jacob. And I'm going to make a part 2 on this because I'm already at almost 12 minutes. That guy made my skin crawl. Ugh. I mean, really, ugh. Thank you, God, for getting me out of there and getting me into the post office so I could have at least and at least I wouldn't still be a security guard, which I would be otherwise, or something else like that. Making minimum wage, trying to exist in this economy at my age. I'm very grateful. Now, I worked for it and I suffered for it physically, emotionally, mentally. It was a battle all 33 years in the post office, but I did it, and I thank God for pushing me through, or maybe my dad pulled me through somehow. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that story about my creepy coworker. That's part 1, and I will come back with a part 2. Or maybe I'm going to call this part 2, because my original creepy coworker post didn't work. Oh boy, here come the lawn cutting people. So I'll come back with part 3. All right? Everybody have a good day. Comment below if you want to. And just remember, when life is serving you a bowl of pits, you can always go, make sure that guy can't drop his doner off. Ugh. Yuck. Have a good day.